Podesta emails 12. This is the latest. I think it came out last night or this morning. I can't keep track. I haven't even gone through a quarter of them. This is just a couple emails I went through. I haven't had a lot of time to go through all of them because I've been going through other footage and I have to get to the debate. So I thought one was very interesting where there was an email with, I believe, Sheryl Sandberg, actually, who is Facebook's COO. She wrote, I think, Lean Forward, which was very popular, about women in the workplace. So she wrote to John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, I can't imagine you have any free time at all, but in case you do on this trip to the Bay Area or another, wondering if you would be willing to spend some time with Mark Zuckerberg. Of course, Mark Zuckerberg is Facebook's CEO. Hopefully they don't shut down my live stream as we speak. If they do, you know why. Mark is meeting with people to learn more about the next steps for his philanthropy and social action, and it's hard to imagine someone better placed or more experienced than you to help him. As you may know, he's young and hungry to learn, always in learning mode, and is early in his career when it comes to his philanthropic efforts. He's begun to think about how he might want to shape advocacy efforts to support his philanthropic priorities, and is particularly interested in meeting people who could help him understand how to move the needle on the specific public policy issues he cares most about. He wants to meet folks who can inform his understanding about effective political operations to advance public policy goals, blah, 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 blah. So it's not a scandal that Mark Zuckerberg, as the CEO of Facebook, wants to talk to politicians, wants to talk to John Podesta, and wants to be a force for good, create, learn more about public policy, and all these things. That's not a scandal. But I think what this shows you is, I always talk about the revolving door between the banks, the lobbyists, the media, the politicians, the corporations. Basically, Facebook's CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, one of the youngest billionaires in the world, is essentially on speed dial with Hillary Clinton and her campaign. I don't know if Podesta and him met. I assume they did. But the fact that Facebook is asking John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign, can I meet so you could teach me about public policy and all this business, to me just shows the revolving door. I can't email John Podesta as just a normal citizen and get, a meeting with him to teach me about public policy. Mark Zuckerberg can. And if I look into it, I would bet my last bottom dollar Mark Zuckerberg has contributed, either directly to the Hillary Clinton campaign or indirectly. So I just thought that was interesting. Again, not scandalous, but something to look at. Moving on to more scandal. Our friend Donna Brazil, the interim chair of the DNC, who has been beating the drum on Russia like nobody's business. She, as we know, I actually broke the story that in these leaks, it was shown that she basically tipped off Hillary Clinton's campaign to a question that was going to be asked to her at a town hall the next day. So she sent Hillary Clinton's campaign. I occasionally get the questions in advance. It was a question on the death penalty. The question that she sent was pretty much identical to the question asked at the town hall. Donna Brazil lied, said, she was actually sending them a question that she was going to be asked on a panel. That's bullshit. Anyway, but other emails have shown that Donna Brazil, who before she was the interim chair at the DNC, was a CNN contributor. She was also the vice chair at the DNC. In both positions, CNN contributor as well as the vice chair, she was portrayed as neutral, right? So she was just on CNN to give analysis on the Democratic primary, not as a Hillary Clinton supporter. CNN, MSNBC, they do label certain guests Hillary Clinton supporters, but Donna Brazil was just a political analyst. So we have the Hillary Clinton campaign was pissed about a story that I guess Bloomberg did, where Bloomberg interviewed some of Bernie Sanders, Jeff Weaver, some other people, and they made an off-color joke that, Hillary would be a good vice president, we'll consider her. And that got Clintonville in arms. They were very upset. So Hillary Clinton's campaign said, here's where we are from a surrogate standpoint. Also note that we are encouraging our friends to book themselves for obvious reasons. What they mean by that is they're encouraging their friends that are at super PACs, which they're not supposed to technically coordinate or book for them. They're encouraging their friends to book themselves on TV to basically hit back at Bernie Sanders' campaign, who made a sly remark that we'll consider her as vice president. This was still during the primary. All of our friends going out tonight post-debate, including Granholm, that would be former Michigan Governor Jennifer Granholm, Donna Brazile, and Bill Burton, are ready to call Bernie's team out if it comes to it tonight. So this was October 2015, while Donna Brazile was the vice chair of the DNC, while Donna Brazile was a neutral CNN contributor. She made the cut as friends of the Clinton campaign, and she was going to go on TV and do their bidding to attack Bernie Sanders. Granted, it was it was a joke. Jeff Weaver was being sarcastic that, oh, we'll consider her as vice president, but, obviously Bernie, we believe, will be the better president. They were up in arms about this. They said he was condescending, disrespectful, and they were going to unleash Donna Brazile, one of their friends, who on CNN said she's neutral. So obviously this just shows you the continued corruption, and it is corruption, of our media, pretending to be neutral when they're not neutral. Moving on. Hillary Clinton's campaign agonized about the fact that she called herself moderate while they were continually trying to spin her as a progressive. So let me read you the email. This one is from Neera Tanden, who I've had fun poking fun at on Twitter. She's the president of the Center for American Progress. I think she's a fake progressive. I think that outlet is not progressive, even though it's in the name. So she wrote to John Podesta in September of 2015. I mean, it makes my life more difficult after telling every reporter I know she's actually progressive, but that is really the smallest of issues. It worries me more that she doesn't seem to know what planet we are all living in at the moment. So she's talking about Hillary Clinton. John Podesta answered, I pushed her on this on Sunday night. She claimed she didn't remember saying it. So Hillary Clinton, I guess, claimed she didn't remember saying she was moderate. Not sure I believe her, John Podesta said. We were speculating that it may be a Don Bauer intervention. I don't know who Don Bauer is, but... and the original email from Neera wrote, why did she call herself a moderate? So this shows the behind the scenes, as I've reported over and over again. Hillary Clinton's campaign is essentially trying to change her image in real time to make it seem like she is a progressive. But, number one, she's not a progressive. I call her a Republican, but apparently she wants to call herself moderate. But Hillary Clinton wasn't helping them because she came out and said, I'm kind of moderate. Meanwhile, Neera Tanden, John Podesta, is pushing to the media, she's progressive. She's a progressive who gets things done. So it's kind of funny that her campaign behind closed doors knows that this is nonsense. You're not leveling with the American people. You're trying to pretend. Don Bauer was a psychologist. Thank you, Melissa. They're not leveling with the American people. They're trying to fool the American people. So that email shows you that. Another one about the media. John Harwood, he's a CNBC anchor. It was shown in previous emails that he was essentially emailing John Podesta, the campaign manager, like unsolicited advice, which is not the role of the media at all. So another email, subject line, get together for coffee or a beer in Brooklyn on Thursday afternoon. So, I've worked in the media, so it's not scandalous that like a journalist would have an off-the-record beer with a politician or a political advisor. You want to build sources, this and that. It would be off the record to make them comfortable. But this is just more troubling because if this email was it by itself, that's one thing. But John Harwood, who's a CNBC reporter, not anchor. It was shown that he was emailing Hillary Clinton's campaign, basically giving them unsolicited advice. So it just shows you that our media, who pretends to be neutral, is not neutral. And for whatever the reason, some of them maybe want a position in Hillary Clinton's administration. Who the hell knows? Moving on. Hillary Clinton's campaign said in writing, so this is more evidence that she's for the TPP, that the reality is she's more pro-trade than she is anti-trade. Let me read it to you. The subject line was draft for a TPP statement. This was October 2015. So I believe in October 2015, they were preparing for her to go out and be against the TPP. Meanwhile, as I reported yesterday, months before that, they were preparing for her to come out as for the TPP, which is her true position. So it just shows you within like 5 or 6 months, they just flip-flopped on it. Joel Benenson, he's a top advisor, strategist to Hillary Clinton, wrote, Amanda, I get this, but the reality is HRC is more pro-trade than anti, and trying to turn her into something she is not could reinforce our negative around authenticity. Go figure. This is an agreement that she pushed for and largely advocated for. That it fails to meet her very specific criteria seems to be the best territory to me. I think Mandy's comment below hits the right tone here, and the consistency piece around blah, blah, blah. So basically, in writing again, they're saying, listen, she's pro-trade. She's more pro-trade than anti-trade, coming out as anti-TPP. We have to be careful how we word it, because the fact is her record is for the TPP. She called it the gold standard. Her record is for most trade deals. She supported Bill Clinton on NAFTA. So they have to be careful how they try to spin, because the facts are not on their side. I thought it was interesting when they say, that it fails to meet her very specific criteria seems to be the best territory for me. What this shows you is her campaign was just trying to come up with the best lines that somewhat sound like there's a valid reason she has switched on supporting the TPP to being against the TPP. In her defense, Hillary Clinton's not the first politician, and her campaign is not the first campaign to fudge the facts on where she stands. Campaigns do it all the time. The problem is, we have playlists on TYT Politics, so you could click on playlists and all the different series we do and reporting we do. I called Hillary Clinton's playlist Hillary Clinton Extreme Makeover, because this shows you that they were making her over on the fly. And when you are a candidate who on stage is trying to make people believe you are as progressive as the actual progressive across the way, Bernie Sanders, it's not true, and it's not factual, and it's deception. And more importantly, this is not a joke. This isn't like me having fun reading her emails. If the TPP passes, it's going to be the final nail in the coffin for a lot of middle-class America. And I met most of those middle-class Americans 2 weeks ago when Emma and I did a road trip across the Midwest. So passing the TPP, like, people's livelihoods are on the line. This is not a joke. Like, let's just try to come up with a good line to make it sound valid that she's against it. This is people's lives, and that's what these people don't understand. They're in the clouds. They're doing the bidding for special interests, because special interests love these trade deals, and they don't care about the closed down plants or the people working 2 to 3 jobs who used to have jobs. All they care about is the free trade deals make American goods cheaper. It pleases the banks. It pleases the corporations who write their checks. And this is serious. And trust me, when Hillary Clinton, if and when she is president, and she tries to ram that through, which will happen, I will be there to cover that. Moving on, and I'm going to have to speed it up because I got to go. I thought this was very interesting. So Hillary Clinton's communications director, I guess the donors were talking a lot about Bernie and Bernie's movement and the crowds at Bernie rallies, and that they were worried. So Jennifer Palmieri, who is her communications director, if you go to youtube.com/TYTpolitics, I confronted her at the last debate. She's not a fan of me. You're pretty old school, spin artist. She deflects on everything. But donors were getting worried about Bernie's movement, the size of the crowd. So Jennifer Palmieri wanted to forward an article from the Washington Post basically saying Bernie Sanders is not Barack Obama, and Bernie Sanders' movement is not the same thing as Barack Obama's movement. So basically belittling Bernie Sanders. And by the way, Bernie Sanders is not the same as Barack Obama, and that's a damn good thing. But they were this article diminished Bernie's movement, saying it's not as big as Barack Obama's movement, saying that Bernie's the moment and the movement is not the same as Obama. So Jennifer Palmieri writes to other campaign staffers, may be good to send to donors, this article. Got asked a lot about Bernie yesterday. Adrian, let's send to select talkers, would not do a mass email on it. Yeah, So part of the Clinton campaign's job is to basically brush donors' egos, kiss their ass, send them articles that will make them feel more comfortable, so they'll keep sending checks. And this is the campaign, and this is the president who's going to overturn Citizens United. Correct. And the problem with this, by the way, this goes into all the problems with these emails. When Jennifer Palmieri writes, maybe good to send to donors, you have a gigantic portion of America and trolls on the internet and pundits on TV who says, so what's the big deal? Campaigns have been dealing with donors from the beginning of times, which is not true. The problem is the fact that these people and trolls are so numb to this and think this is acceptable and think this is okay. This is the problem with the country. This mindset that this revolving door, it is what it is, it's how it's always been, it's not scandalous, move on. That's why there is such income inequality in this country. It's not a coincidence. It started in 1981, accelerated till now. Reagan, Bill Clinton, Obama, they have not gone up against the donor class. They have gotten their oxygen from the donor class. So when you have communications directors for presidential campaigns, send it out to the donors so they're not worried. They've been asking us about Bernie. This just shows you this is not about representing people. This is about representing donors. Moving on. A prominent gay rights activist, he's a gay man, his name is Richard Socarides, Socarides. I've met him before, I've interviewed him before, he's a really nice guy. He's a long time, a gay man and activist, fought for gay marriage, against DOMA, all those things. So he wrote to John Podesta in October of last year. Again, she said that DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act, which tried to constitutionally say marriage is between a man and a woman. Again, she said that DOMA was an effort to find a middle ground and to prevent a constitutional amendment. That's not what happened, or nobody remembers it that way at least. I have tried to talk to her about this, meaning he tried to talk to Hillary Clinton about this. I've written talking points about this. I don't really know what to do further. She and the president keep wanting to say this, but it is not serving us. We've had a great week. The Human Rights Campaign speech was fantastic. The gay rights answer she gave the other day at the town hall was fantastic. But you can't say this about DOMA. It will get us into a lot of trouble. So again, he wasn't working for the campaign, but again, a gay rights activist is basically saying to Podesta, she's lying. She's trying to rewrite history on President Clinton and her support for the Defense of Marriage Act. And she can't keep saying this because it's not true. By the way, this is the same woman who came out 5 minutes before, the Supreme Court ruled gay marriage constitutional and legal. She came out in 2013, I believe, for her support for gay marriage. So as the wind goes, as the polls goes. I'm going to do one more because I got to shower and go to the debate. This one I actually found pretty disgusting, actually. In fairness, Hillary Clinton's campaign did not say it, but it just shows you the people they surround themselves with. So John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, got an email. Let me find her name. Give me 1 second, because I think you guys should know her name, because I think it's pretty disgusting what she said. Her name is Gina Glantz. Gina, last name Glantz. Gina Glantz is a Democratic operative. She's not working for Hillary Clinton's campaign, but she's been in Democratic politics for a long time. She writes to Podesta, no need to reply, just that when I talked to Nico last week, I began to think more about what is happening, and then I talked to Nides, who said I should write you to. So for what it's worth, I'm gonna keep moving on, because it's a long email. I want to get to the big part. First, on her passion, meaning Hillary Clinton's passion. I thought the trip to Flint was brilliant. Getting ahead of him, meaning Bernie Sanders, getting ahead of him around, quote, caring can be repeated. I am thinking, though maybe unrealistic given the shortness of time, that there must be any number of low-income communities with high rates of asthma or other stuff in South Carolina sitting next to fossil fuel plants, belching out toxic material or at least unhealthy fumes. Not on the scale of Flint, but for sure to be found all across the country. And there's a federal policy to tie to it, as well as action steps, including big story in California about use of cap and trade. I'm not going to read the rest. Okay, I want to read you the critical part. First, on her passion, meaning Hillary Clinton's passion. I thought the trip to Flint was brilliant. Hillary Clinton went to Flint before the Michigan primary. Getting ahead of him, Bernie, around, quote, caring can be repeated. So apparently, caring for people who have been poisoned to death, you should schedule that to make sure you care about it before your opponent. Let's exploit people who are victims of lead poisoning, of a mass government failure, frankly, government corruption. And I've covered Flint. You could go to that playlist on TYT Politics as well. Emma and I went there a few weeks ago. So, in fairness, John Podesta didn't write this. Somebody wrote it to him. But basically saying, kudos, congrats to you for the brilliant strategy to go to Flint and, quote, caring ahead of Bernie. So let's tell you what John Podesta wrote in response. Thanks, Gina. My goal is to keep her surrounded by and talking to low-wage workers. That's where her passion comes out, like the collective actions idea. We'll see if we can get something going on that. So, everything's politics. Everything. Going down to visit, victims of lead contamination and poisoning, how you portray it against your opponent. It's all politics. And that's really sad. You know, this is bigger than just whether you like Hillary Clinton, whether you like her campaign. This is bigger than just this presidential election. I think this just gives you a window into not just the donors and how they control our politicians, but the type of people that are political leaders, not even the elected officials, the people who work for them. The fact that it's not really about helping the people, it's about how do we use it to our advantage to win elections. And I found that very disgusting. It's probably one of the more disgusting emails I've read, and I've been reading these for 2 weeks now. So take what you want from that. There's a few more emails, but I don't have time. I can't be late or I won't get into the debate. If you want to read all the emails that this is like, it'll take you an hour because my Twitter is pretty much WikiLeaks for the last week and a half. At JORDANCHARITON. Emma Vigeland is also tweeting them at EMMAVIGELAND. YouTube.com/TYT Politics. We passed 90,000 subscribers. Please share, please care, please tell your friends to subscribe. I want to hit 100,000 by the end of this year. I want to say to Cenk, look what the audience is for real journalism, real reporting. So after the election, I am still able to go around the country and do real journalism because there's an audience for it. As much as I love when you watch these Facebooks and these videos on WikiLeaks, I implore you to watch the stuff we've done in Standing Rock. We just did a great video. We just posted a great video from Detroit. It's all about how the Republican governor there and the Republican government have fucked Detroit's school children and essentially closed down 100 schools, which leads to gang violence, poverty, and all sorts of things. Please go watch that. That's the most recent video. And thank you for your support. I apologize that a lot of you are messaging me on Facebook and emailing me and I'm not responding. I don't have time. It's not to sound arrogant. I just don't have time. I got too many balls in the air. So if you're messaging me, I just can't respond to you. It's nothing personal. So thanks again, and I'll see you at the debate later tonight.